Hey everybody, just doing a little bit of an update today. As some of you that have watched my last chat may remember, I was dealing with a little bit of jaw issues, not feeling that great because of it, some of the TMJ from a dental procedure that I had, and so I haven't really been putting up as much videos recently, or even been as productive as far as dedicated painting time. I'm sure that some of you can relate that sometimes if you've got other stuff going on, it's really difficult to be focused or have the enthusiasm to paint, or perhaps maybe some of you it's the opposite. But yeah, I've not been painting as much. Now I did, for all intents and purposes, finish some of the details and a wash on the wolves, which does actually take some time because there's so many of them. I have to do the bases, but I decided I'll do them after I do the goblins, and so yeah. So there's the white wolf and the gray wolf. That's the majority of the color of the darker wolves, and then I have a couple of light gray, like I mentioned, and some browns. So yeah, so I've got those done. Now it's just working on the goblins. I have been doing just like a tremendous amount of priming with my airbrush recently, and part of that is for assembling and getting the goblin riders ready for these wolves, and then part of it as well is I actually had offered to do some Blood Bowl minis, prime them for a friend that wants to paint them up, and so I'll show those in a second, just real quick. But yeah, I guess the next thing I decided that I'm going to do, I just feel like doing something different while I'm getting started on these Goblin Riders. I said I wanted to do these giants, and so sorry if you can hear the vacuum upstairs. Somebody's vacuuming upstairs, and I guess I didn't time this very well. But this is the Cloud Giant, and it's hard to see because it's all white, but I put a little bit in the past, just stuff I had extra of epoxy sculpt on the base. But I have sculpted the base for him. I sculpted in a little rock on the corner, and then just a bit of a hill slope on the side here, just to be able to do the base layers I want to do. And I think I'm just going to prime him up later today. It feels like I said, like I've been priming forever. And so I will do that. And then some leftovers that I had, I got at least the base foundation on the Frost Giant. And so yeah, that's just all I did, is just put some epoxy sculpt putty on there this morning. Talking about priming a lot, I basically got all my Goblin Riders primed, except one, which I found on the side, which is so annoying. And so I will be priming him up alongside the Cloud Giant. And I'll just pan to the right and show the Blood Bowl team. And so this is just the Blood Bowl plastic box set that comes with the more recent released game. I was using my lamp for something else, so I have it positioned differently here. I'll show what I was working on with it in a second. I was using it as a bit of a heat lamp for curing, because one of my desk lamps gets kind of hot. It's good to cure green stuff a little faster, things like that. Or two-part epoxies. So yeah, these are the orcs. They actually are really nice looking models. I'm not painting these. I'm just, like I said, I just primed them because I have the airbrush for a friend, and he's going to paint them up. Nice miniatures. I'm going to play the game when he paints them up, and then see how I like Blood Bowl. I've never actually played before, but I said, because he got the set, I said I'd be interested in trying it if you paint them up, your mini sub. And so yeah, so I've got that. Another thing that I've got going here is I did for the first time a two-part mold And this is epoxy sculpt. And so you can see in here, these are shields, essentially. And these are shields for an upcoming project that I'm going to be doing in the fall, primarily. And I'm going to show that in a moment. These are old Warhammer Fantasy shields that you can't buy really anymore unless you kind of find them on eBay, and they're quite expensive. I thought the shields actually came out pretty good as a first try. I did the shields in green stuff. Let's see if I can get the light on here. This is the back of the shield, which funny enough has more detail than the front. You can see the wood in that, and then the front is just really just like bolts and like a rim around it. I haven't cleaned them up at all. Like you can see here, this one really needs to be cleaned up from the mold on the outside. But overall, I don't think it's too bad. I didn't clean up the mold after I made it. I should have. And so in some ways, this first go around, I think, is like cleaning up the mold as well as casting. Like I could see some white spots on the green stuff coming off of the mold where I didn't clean it up. But if you see that there, it definitely brought out some of the detail, and it's a two-part, so it's two-sided for the and yeah, like I think even I'll be able to use these. But what I'm going to try is I've never really done any of this sort of mold casting before, and I think I'm going to use some Milliput next time instead of green stuff, just to try that out. And like I said, this part is in epoxy sculpt. I did that primarily as I didn't even think I had enough green stuff. Initially I wanted to do the mold itself in green stuff. I didn't have enough to even make a mold like this, and so because it's not that thick, but it is not the thinnest in the world. As far as I did a Lego mold, and you can see the Lego things on the bottom, but it still is a fair amount of green stuff. I don't have this much because I've used a lot of what I have. So that was kind of cool. I'm experimenting a little bit with casting. So I've kept busy. I just haven't been, I finished off those wolves, and I kind of have been doing a lot of priming and fiddling around with other stuff this week. And the other thing I've been doing is spending time online and procuring models for this project in the fall. I'm going to show two things regarding that project today, just as sort of a little teaser for anybody that's interested. And I will just pan over to my hobby shelf first. So this is my old hammer shelf, which doesn't, I have a bit spin on another shelf that actually has a lot of bits in there for all my Rogue Trader stuff I've collected. But as you can see, my Space Orc box there, some Dreadnoughts, some Rogue Trader stuff I'm going to be doing very soon. I have some other old hammer stuff here for fantasy and metal models and bags. What I'm planning on doing this fall is starting a project. My goblins that you see me doing, I have a mixture of metal and plastic, but I'm really just doing whatever I want with them, and like I'm going to be buying plastic kits and like the Arachnarok and various things in the future. And it's not an old hammer army, despite the fact that I have a couple of wizards or shamans that are of an older generation. I'm starting in the fall a project that is going to be purely old hammer, early middle hammer sort of metals for Warhammer Fantasy. What I've chosen, you might be able to tell, these are prime white, you might not be able to see, but these are a unit of 20 Bestigors with a champion in the front. Standard bearer. So I'm planning on doing a Beastmen traditional sort of Warhammer Fantasy army. And this is a long-term project. I would like to play some games. I'm already talking about playing games with them in the future with a friend, but in all likelihood, I'll be playing with goblins for a while, in actual playing. Like, that's the goal right now. This is just something that I want to do from a painting and a collecting perspective, and then eventually playing. But I'm not worrying so much about how fast I get these on the table. I'm going to be taking my time with these. And that's why I call it even more so like a painting project. I really love the character of these models of this generation of metal for Beastmen. And I've been spending lots of time talking to folks on Facebook and trying to procure models of this generation within Oldhammer trading clubs. Little bit of eBay, not much, but then also local trading groups within Canada. I've found people getting rid of them. Like this, I got a really good deal from a gentleman out in New Brunswick, among some other miniatures as well. In my local club, I picked up the models I like the most of this generation, and that are these. I mean, I like them as much as these. They're the same generation, but they're basically the Beastmen, not the Bestigors. So you might be able to see through the bag here, but these ones are not prime. They're pretty much they're stripped, I believe. But this is a good 15 actual Beastmen. And so I'm even seeing a friend that is looking at getting into another game and has been playing Warhammer Fantasy for many, many, many years and is looking at selling Beastmen of this generation, and so I'm looking at picking up more. And so this is really just a small amount of what I have currently and on the way in the post and things for this generation of Beastmen. So I'm looking at, now this may be overkill for some as far as what I'm planning on doing, but I'm actually not going to be painting these with the current paints that I have now. I'm ordering Cote d'Arms Fantasy paints to actually use the paints that were used back in the 80s, sort of like when these late 80s, early 90s, excuse me. It's spring here, of course, and I'm getting, from working outside on projects, little allergic symptoms. Sorry about that. So I'm looking at using the Cote d'Arms, original GW shades for these models, and I'm looking at trying to incorporate primarily a lot of the older techniques in painting these that were used back then. So the sort of black lining, or using a primary shade color line to make the models pop, some brighter colors, brighter colors and things like that. I'm not completely sure whether I'll abandon using washes for these, but I definitely want to incorporate the style of the painting from that period. It's a bit of an Oldhammer project, I would say, and so I want to be practicing and doing that as well. So that's kind of, I've been spending a lot of time looking into this, and for the gaming side, I picked up a friend of mine that also likes Warhammer Fantasy that I play games with, that's interested in doing some Warhammer Fantasy gaming. He and I were talking, and I own the 8th edition and the 6th edition Warhammer Fantasy. 8th edition I bought to play recently, but then the 6th edition I've had since that time. I had actually picked up a Wood Elf army, which I then primarily gave to Tristan, 8th, the YouTube channel, because I was sort of out of fantasy at that point and just doing 40k. I had no use for it. Never really thought I'd do fantasy again, but I actually, as it happens, I didn't really pick up Wood Elves now that I'm getting back into it again. So I had this from back then, this 6th edition, and I was talking to my friend, and we were thinking maybe we'll just do 6th edition instead of 8th. And what I ended up doing is, and I'll show here, this is my original 6th edition book, really in very good condition. It's actually in great condition. But what I didn't really have were the codices. And so I may have a Wood Elf one still, but what I ended up doing is purchasing used off a local sort of trading group. $5 a piece, really great deal. Excellent condition. Beasts of Chaos, Vampire Counts, Orcs and Goblins, so I can use it for my Orcs as well as Beasts of Chaos, and Bretonnia, which I have some Bretonnia models, and I'm thinking in the future I may want to collect some Bretonnia far in the future. So I just thought, wait, $5, I'll do it. He also had a rule book to throw in. It's been well used. And so he just threw this in for free, and I'm just going to let my friend use this. It's all taped up and bound, but the book itself is in good condition. So we've got a couple rule books, a bunch of the codices, and away we go. Now, like I said, this is really pretty far in the future as far as playing the game. I don't really see it happening in the near future, unless I'm using my Orcs and Goblins, which maybe we'll do, because I'm planning on using them for Age of Sigmar, but I based them up on squares so I could use them for old fantasy traditional games too, and we're even interested in Dragon Rampant as well. So, that's kind of what I've been doing. I've been a little bit scattered in my hobby recently, not feeling that great, but now, I'm not sure if I mentioned, but like I'm almost at 100% with my jaw now, with that TMJ I was talking about, and which is great because I can actually eat normal things again. It's amazing just how painful that is. I never really knew. But yeah, and the only last thing that I didn't show, talking about the giants, I picked up a Ral Partha Armored Cloud Giant. I think I was telling you guys that I wanted to maybe have a group of 3 or a gang of 3. And so this guy is the Cloud Giant, Armored Cloud Giant. I believe he came out much later than the one that I'm planning to paint up right now. But I think that he'll stack up really well with these others. They're around, they really are around the same height and as far overall. I mean, like the Cloud Giant and the Frost Giant are a little bit taller. In particular, the regular Cloud Giant is the tallest of them. But I think they'll work out good. He'll fit in really well with them. So yeah, that's my update for this week. Not as much going on focused-wise, but kind of scattered all over the place, hobbying stuff. I hope you guys had a good week, and have a great one next week. Talk to you later.